Hey everyone, my name is Luke. I am a product quality technician at Mobile Defenders. I, right now, am testing screens from all different companies and making sure they're good. One of the main tools we use to test that screen is a colorimeter. We also use another tool called a spectrophotometer. And I'm kind of going to talk about both of them and why we use two and not just one to look at our screens. These tools are used to calibrate other things, but you'll actually find that a colorimeter kind of needs to be calibrated itself, whereas a spectrophotometer doesn't. Our spectrophotometer does the bulk of the work when we need to measure how bright something gets, how color accurate something gets. All of those nitty-gritty specifications of how good a display is, spectrophotometer does the heavy lifting. We still use a colorimeter. Turns out spectrophotometers are actually not that good at reading black levels. Colorimeters are. So we'll often use both when we're trying to figure out the contrast of something, which would be how dark can something get and bright at the exact same time. That's an important measure. That's one of the easier things that you'll find your customers will notice. If a screen looks kind of washed out, it means it's very low contrasty. If it looks very punchy and the darks are dark and the brights are bright, it's very high contrast. And it's a very visually easy thing to notice the difference between. For testing the screens, it's pretty straightforward. Every tool that we have just plugs into the computer. You have a program that you install that actually works with these tools. Once you get everything set up, you place the tools on the device, and you have to set the device at multiple different levels and brightnesses and images. Sometimes you just want to see how bright a screen gets. So you're going to load a white image on that phone. You're going to crank the brightness as high as it goes, make sure there's nothing interfering with that in the settings of the phone, like auto brightness, and see how bright it gets. Other times, you want to test color accuracy, and max brightness is not necessarily a normal viewing environment for your phone. So you want to put it at a good midpoint. You want to kind of get the phone to its normal state where most people will be looking at it, and then you will see at that point how accurate it is, what kind of colors can it reproduce and show you. And you run the tests on the computer. You can do kind of quick tests just to make sure that nothing's just bad off the bat, and then you can run these very, very long half an hour, 1 hour tests that gives you entire graphs and breakdowns of all of the different metrics it hits, every single color and where they're at, and what is the contrast of your display, the black level, the white level, and we need both tools to kind of get us the whole range of numbers. So we'll often run the test once with one tool, and then run the test again with another tool, and use the numbers we know are going to be more accurate for each of those respective tools, and find what the display can do and how it performs. We know what all the original displays that Apple ships with their phones format, and it's a really great benchmark to compare ours to. There are even situations where we can exceed it. Apple, if you're talking about iPhones that are 5, 6, 7 years old, technology has come a long way. It's not actually that surprising to think that 6 years later you could put a different display on an old iPhone and get something the same or better. So we use two different tools to make sure that the phone is contrasty and dark and bright when it needs to, so that when you watched a movie before you cracked it, it looks just as good after you get it repaired. We make sure that the brightness is accurate so that you don't feel like that you're sacrificing anything when you go for a walk and you need to look at your phone if you happen to do something to it. We want to make sure that the colors are accurate after we do everything that we test for, because when you take a photo, there's a lot of colors that go into that. These cameras are so good, and the last thing you want to do is drop $1,000 on a phone that has the best camera that you can get just to put a screen on it that makes it look like you shot it on a 4-year-old phone.